All right, shalom, shalom, Yasharala. This is part two of the previous video. But before we go any further within this lesson, I want to open up by giving all praises, honor, and glory with infinite blessings unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah Hakwadash. And I also want to give double honors unto our beloved other bishops and to the other apostles of Great Millstone that teach well and that rule well. Much blessings and salutations out to the hopeful elect, to the Akim, Wafi, Akwaf that are tuning in, and to the men laboring within this truth. Sincerely, scattered across the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatham, unto you and into your households. All right, so let's get into it. Once again, fair use. This video is used for educational purposes only. All right, fair use. I'm not monetizing, making any money off of this video. Just only edification.
And then, when you tie in everything else here with this, like drought, another major problem, which is a weather weapon. They're doing this on purpose. The drought being forced upon all of America, coast to coast, you guys know it. Water wars, and the talk of it popping up all over the place. Then, Super El Nino, swooping up down there around the equator, and they're saying there's a 50% chance it will be the worst they've ever seen on record. Ever. And that the last one that hit killed some 50 million people. That's crazy number. So in 1877, 1878, El Nino, all the widespread damage, the crop famines especially is what they tie into this, led to the deaths of 50 million people.
All right, and it just goes to show you, all right, when famine comes, man, that's ultimately a plague from the Lord. Because when this does happen, bro, this shit, it does numbers, bro. You know. So let's grab this real quick. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, and verse 22. All right. It says, "For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine." And that's the times that we're coming in. All right, this is the setting that the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai is, putting the world in. Okay, and so as you see that Dabu is going into, he's basically speaking of famine. All right, and if there's accounts of famine happening in 1977, that's like 1877. All right, speaking about 50 million passing, how much more in this time? All right, this being the Lord's judgment. Okay, not just only in one place, but all around the world. And it says, "In the other that escape the hunger," okay, the famine that is coming, it says, "shall the sword destroy." Yeah, the sword. All right, going into either it be these UN troops, these foreign troops, these sleeper cells that are set up here in America. All right, or even your next door neighbor, a friend, a family member, a kin, those that you hold dearly to you. Within these times, man, it's the Lord is really going to bring out what's really what's inside of you, in everybody. Okay, because these are trying times. It talks about great tribulation, which are great troubles, man. And if you weren't building yourself up for these things, for going through the test that the Lord has been putting his men, okay, and the rest of the believers on, then truth be told, it's gonna be hard for you to come out of this. All right, there is really no chance of prevailing through these things All right, unless you have Yahweh Bashim Yahushai on your side, man. All right, on your team. Okay, really, most so are you being on the team of the Lord. All right. Anybody else and everyone else is they're done. Okay. Verse 23. All right, and it says, "And the dead shall be cast out as dung." All right, so the dead bodies, the people that are ultimately going to get judged in the time of the highest forms of these prophecies being unfolded, either that be famine, the pestilences, the wild beast in which the Lord is going to have unleashed. All right, or either it be just unfortunate event to happen to them. All right, it's the death toll is going to be so high that, bro, it's going to be dead bodies everywhere, on the street, okay, on the playgrounds, the parks, okay, the roads, these buildings. They're gonna be everywhere as dung, as as dog shit. All right, that's what dung is. So it's gonna be like as dog shit. All right, as you walk in the sidewalk and you see dog poop on the side of the road. All right, that's how these dead bodies are gonna be. It's gonna be a normal thing to see someone's spirit, go back up to the throne, to the heavens. And it says, "And there shall be no man to comfort them," going into giving them a proper burial or bury them. There won't be none of that, because it will be a time of trouble and tribulation, to where, these things are, you got to focus on, how you gonna make it in these times, man, in which we understand, through the Comforter, through these scripts, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will protect his very elect in these times, So we, Lord willing, we be of the Lord's elect. You and your household and your family and those that accept you in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai be saved, because we know salvation is coming, and these miracles will unfold, for the Lord's very elect's sake. It says, "For the earth shall be wasted and the city shall be cast down." All right, there shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. Yeah, even these farmers, man, and we're seeing it now with the farmers. They don't have the resources, they don't have their needs and necessities to do their profession, and to do it efficiently for the needs of others. All right, so it's lacking. All right, famine of resources. All right, so what that means, a famine of food. If the farmer can't do his 1-2 because he's missing his 2 to make the 3, then that shit just makes it obsolete. Like, there's nothing. It's gone. All right, you're gonna be stuck with that 1, okay, but don't have the 2, which would be the the resources to power and to fuel these these vehicles. All right, it's not like you just do it by hand. There's a way to do these things in a mass production in order to feed billions. All right, so billions are going to ultimately suffer and perish from this famine that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will send. It says, "There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it." All right, so you're gonna be seeing people out here trimming the hedges and cutting the trees, and as you see the city, they have certain people to come and cut the trees and the leaves and certain things and make the place look good. Yeah, you don't have none of that, man. All right,
This is not looking good. The other numbers here are kind of crazy. Only 22 million acres of winter wheat will be harvested this year. If you don't know what's going on here, well, everything that was planted, they say that our farmers are abandoning 32%. And they say, just think about that for a moment. Our farmers simply gave up on nearly a third of this year's winter wheat crop. And it's insane. When you stack all this up together, it was like The perfect storm here for failure, especially if people were not prepared, and most were not. And now they're caught in the storm. I'm going to tell you, you need to do something to mitigate the damage this summer. You need to grow something, get you some chickens, something. High prices are one thing, but when you just can't get anything, that's a whole nother animal. So I would pay attention to what's happening in real time here, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon, and it's all a setup. Just never forget that. Join me for the live.
Yeah, that's right. It's not going to get any better anytime soon. All right, because the Lord is about to judge the earth. All right, it tells you why these things are about to take place and come down the pipe. All right, because many people are walked in great pride. All right, and even in 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 19, it says, "Behold, famine, plague, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment." Okay, that's the whole reason these things are taking place. Okay, because the people have rightfully, sold these things unto themselves, man. All right. So let me grab So 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 5, it says, "For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." All right, that's the point. Okay, the end of this society, the end of all these things are it's about to come to an end. Okay, a complete halt. All right, thinking you're free when you're not free. Okay, all of that, the pride of the place, it's all coming to an end. The Lord is shutting that down. The mirth, the fun, the complacency, the pleasure in America, Babylon, and great. All right, the Lord's going to take that away from you people, man. Okay, and replace it with a spirit of anxiety, a spirit of trembling, of fear, as Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 6 and 7, goes into it. All right, a very sickening feeling for an uncertainty of what's to come, because you don't have the wisdom and you don't have the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, which was freely, liberally given to you, Jace, but as Proverbs says, you despised it. All right. Okay. First, Salakia, Proverbs chapter 1 and in verse 22, it says, "How long, ye simple ones, when ye love?" Salakia, let me start at verse 20. It says, "Wisdom crieth without; she uttereth her voice in the streets." All right. By the way of the prophets. Okay. Ultimately, it's the Lord. Because it's not of us, it's none of us, man. It's not us, bro. We're tools, bro. That's it. We're tools that's being used by the Most High, bro. Okay, vessels, so that the Lord may relay His message. Okay, that threat that He's given, that says, that should be the Lord shall threaten who shall not utterly be beaten to powder, at His presence, and He's here, heavy stepping. He's on the earth. So it says, Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 20 says, "Wisdom crieth without; she uttereth her voice in the streets." On the highways, the byways, okay, where you see the men of the Lord, the prophets, starting with our elders and apostles, the great millstone, and the brothers on down, okay, pushing this work. It says verse 21, she says, "She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates in the city she uttereth her words, saying." All right, "How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scornings, and fools hate not." All right, so basically, the Lord is using His prophets to get out the warning. Okay, so Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 23, it says, "Turn you at my reproof, and behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you." And the way the Lord is pouring out his spirit is, once again, is by the men. Okay. And also these lessons, these classes, these camps that are being held, constantly every day, all around the clock. All right. Especially on the internet, man, because that's where the internet does the heavy lifting. The Lord is pouring out his spirit. Okay, all around the world. It says, I will make known my words unto you. It says, because I have called and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. So the Lord has stretched out his hand, even though you didn't see it. You didn't physically see the Lord stretch his hand out unto you. And that's maybe a lot of people's cases, and their problem is because, that didn't happen. But the one thing for sure is the Lord is not going to manifest himself for you to tell you to repent in order to get right so he can save you. Nah, man, he's not going to do that. All right, because he's a king. All right, and two, bro, like, he has servants. He has servants for a reason. The prophets are here for a reason, to stretch out, ultimately to show you the way and to give you, the instruction of what to do, coming back to Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, and how to serve the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But it says, in no man regarded. And, that's just our people. But in these times that we're coming in, and these calamities that are about to take place on earth, you're going to regard it, okay? You're going to have some type of question or concern of what's taking place, what's going on, or even a thought's going to pop up into your head, which is going to pop up to a lot of people's heads, that the men were right. The men standing on the corner were right. All right. My cousin was right. My brother was right. My uncle was right. My father was right. My stepfather was right. My friend, my homie was right. All, etc. The men of Yahweh Bashim Shai were right. Okay, and now these things are coming to pass. All right. Like the prophet said it would, man. But, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory with infinite blessings to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, and Kakodash. Until next